I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the lone roller skate at the base of villainy staircase. I am Darkwing Duck!
Oh yeah, I'm excited for this one. Let's check out the Mask of the Phantasm from Mondo Toys. Okay guys, we have a slight dilemma because this box is bigger than my photo box, way bigger. I'm gonna have to deconstruct the arcade. So 1 second. There we go. So now let's find out if this box is better than your mother's. So on the front we get a cool look at the Phantasm with the smoke effect around her. Really cool black silhouetted outline of the character itself. Then that's about it for the front. I really do like the artwork of the front. Not too crazy. I love how the blues blend in with the smoke and kind of blend into the background while you have this black silhouetted Phantasm in the middle with her mask. I keep saying his, with her mask and the scythe on her hand in white. So that's a really cool effect. Good job for Mondo. Let's check out the side if we can get it into frame. I doubt we can. Doesn't matter. On this side there is nothing but the Mask of the Phantasm, some legal jargon. On the back we get the Batman the Animated Series logo, and on the other side we get nothing again. Let's crack this bad boy open. Hand room. And inside we get a picture of the Phantasm, of the woman, and I can't think her name. I'm going to look it up so that I'm not like a complete moron. Her smoke effect and an alternate hooded mask, unhooded mask, different stuff. Let's take it off the box and so that I can actually reset my arcade. Oh, and that's actually cool, which I didn't notice, but let's see if I can do some adjustments. I do appreciate the artwork on the inside. I do like the way the Phantasm looks here. That same blue smoke, if you look at the blue smoke, it has the Batman head in it. So that's actually really cool design. I really do appreciate the artwork on this. Not the greatest artwork because you have two sides that are completely bland and the back is also really bland, but the front artwork kind of makes up for it. You can see they put effort into it. They actually appreciate the character. So, and the inside cover shows it. I can't be mad at it. That's a lot of effort. So let's crack this bad boy up and see.
What's in the box?
So we get a lot of stuff in the box. Obviously we get the Phantasm action figure. We get a smoke effect to go around the body. We get the Joker throwing acid on the hook claw effect, which I find a little weird that they gave us this, but cool. I guess someone was like, hey, I have a Joker, 12-inch Joker from the animated series. I need this. We also get a hood head without the mask, which I assume goes over Andrea's head. We get a smoke effect for her hand to attach to her left hand to do the smoke effect that we see on the ground. We get a fist. I'll pick up the fist. We get a kind of open hand for the left hand, which I'm not sure. It looks almost identical to the other hand, maybe slightly different. And we get a stand because this thing will not stand on its own. And of course, I got the deluxe. For an extra 20 bucks, you get a Andrea head sculpt, which is super dope. I'm wondering if that piece comes off, if her hair comes off to fit. No. this is just a pet peeve of mine, but I really would like if they gave us instructions, because I'm strong enough to rip the plastic off a toy and make it useless. So that would kind of defeat the whole purpose of it. So I don't know if I'm supposed to take her hair off to put her in the hood, but that's besides the point. Anyway, Mills definitely wouldn't have shot you guys. This is a great amount of accessories for this 12-inch scale action figure. Let's check out the design and see how well this thing holds up to the cartoon. So let's get a close look of Andrea, because this is probably something that a lot of people won't get. They can still get the Phantasm, but Andrea was a pre-order exclusive, unfortunately. But this looks just like Andrea Beaumont from the show. Well, not the show, the animated movie. Looks exactly like her. This is a great likeness. They did some really good job with painting. There's just little imperfections from the molding, not necessarily paintwork wise, but some of the molding looks a little bubbly. You look right here in the face. I don't know if that's translating well into the camera, but other than that, phenomenal looking sculpt for her. Good job with the hair. Good job with the shadowing for the cell shading for the hair. I think that's my only complaint for the design for this figure and for the main figure, and we'll look at that in a second. The main figure, I'm gonna break him apart because it's hard to hold him in camera so you guys can see. So putting the Andrea Beaumont torso onto the legs was extremely hard. I had to heat it up for a very long time just for the peg to even try to fit in there. It looks like the idea was to build a really good Phantasm toy, and then Andrea was kind of an afterthought. Well, at least that's how it looks like, the way it was engineered. But she looks really good with the legs on. As we look at the Phantasm without her legs, we get some really cool details in the cape. You can see there's shadowing here in the shoulder, shadowing in the claw in the hand. I mean, in her hand with the claws, and shadowing in the scythe. Let's see, any shadowing on the cape whatsoever. A little bit of shadowing based on the overall, the cloak, how it dangles over the cloak, and some shadowing there. So it's some shading on it itself. It's not just a big piece of gray plastic. That's really decent. Let's put this on properly. Really decent. It looks really good. I think my only complaint, and this is a weird thing because normally I hate cell shading, but I don't think they did enough. I think you can see that there are some in the scythe. You can see that there's a decent amount here, but I think you kind of end up with these big swaths of just emptiness on this gray plastic that kind of leave it But outside of that, I wish they just did a little bit more. And like I said, I normally hate cell shading, but in this case, I think they didn't do enough. I think maybe they wanted you to try to do it with lighting in your camera, but I say either go all the way or don't go at all, because this is kind of And even like with the hood, I would expect the hood to have more shading than it does. The way that you see how if you're looking at it, there's 2 tones of gray in the scythe. Actually 3 tones. You have this really dark gray, then you have a kind of a medium gray, and then even another shade of gray on the blade itself. So these 3 shades actually blend in very well, and it's hard to see in the camera. It all looks one shade, but there's actually 4 different shades. 1, 2, 3, 4 shades of gray. 50 shades of gray. But these 4 shades of gray actually makes a really good illusion to how it looks, and that's some really good shading. You can see the effort, but then the rest of it is, there's no effort into the rest of the action figure, so that's a little disappointing. But it looks just like the Phantasm from the movie. I only have one other action figure for the Phantasm, the Batman 2-pack, which I keep in his box. Let's see how that looks compared to this. I mean, my other complaint, the same thing I was saying about Andrea, was that, no, the same thing I was saying about Andrea was that the torso is really just plain Jane. There's nothing there on it, and that makes it a little bit of, I wish it was more to it than just that. That's my only complaint, that it's just a black body. And I mean, yeah, I understand can't do anything with it because it's the Phantasm and she is supposed to be just a black body with highlights, but it seems kind of dull and bland outside of that. But they nailed the design. It looks just like it did in the movie. Let's check out Articulation. So I'm not going to bend the Phantasm body because the cape is so rigid. It is not able to move whatsoever. Like, yes, you'll get some motion out the arms, and I'll show you that. You'll get some motion out the arms, not much, because this is hard plastic, so you can't lift it above the shoulder. Same thing here, you're not getting much motion out of the arm. The head can only look up that much, not much at all. Can only look down, but it can look left to right. So not really getting much articulation. This thing is definitely, she's not gonna squat in this form. Let's see if we can do some articulation with Andrea Beaumont and her half Phantasm form. So let's see. She can't look up at all because of the hair. Looking left or right is hindered by the hair, but she still can. It's just not the greatest. Let's get you down here. Let's fold you up, get you down. So she can look left to right. Not the greatest because of the hair. She can't look up at all, but she actually has some decent range looking down. So you could do some kind of spotlight shots where she's looking down, menacing over someone. They actually did some decent articulation in the legs. She does have a double jointed knee, but the range is limited, so she's not actually getting her leg up to her butt. Some decent range in the legs, so she can do some of her judo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu moves from the movie. Not really though, because her range in her legs is kind of tight. And I've tried to bend it out the way as I was putting the torso on, and it popped. So that's how much you can get out of her at this. And single jointed elbow, swivel in the wrist. Single jointed elbow, swivel in the wrist. Good torso bend. So can she squat? She can. She has the articulation, except for she doesn't have the elbows to do it. She has the diaphragm motion, and it's super stiff because the way the toy is put together. But she's getting there, so that means that maybe with some effort, it's no toe articulation, but an ankle rocker, the little boot cut, which is cool that is into the boot, no thigh cut. She can't squat, so we're probably not going to get her into a superhero landing pose, which is fine. Let's see, can she take a knee? She can't take a knee. I think that's the best we're going to get out of her, and this is the most articulation we're going to get out of this whole toy because, as I was saying with the Phantasm, she doesn't have, the cape hinders the motion. The Phantasm is strictly meant to stand. I mean, you can get some decent poses out of this, you're just going to be limited to how the poses come out because of how the body is built and put together. So we can get some good punch you in the PP kind of moves, but not necessarily anything more dynamic than that. I mean, fairly decent posing, not a squat, not the greatest posing, but it's really not fair to compare a 12-inch action figure to a 6-inch action figure. I'm pretty sure they had to restructure everything so that the articulation on this thing doesn't fall apart with certain motions. So, I'm not giving it a pass, but I understand why. There's a 12-inch. You get to see some really good specs in the face, but you don't get the articulation you would like. Especially this upper torso part is really stiff, and I wish it moved a little bit better. And then finally, let's go down to the monies. This thing is super expensive. So unless you are a super fan of the character of the villain, the Phantasm, do not. Now, also, it's cool to have the Andrea Beaumont head sculpt because or the upper torso, because I'm pretty sure that and outside of the toys from the 90s when this was first released, the little 5-inch putt toys, you're not going to really get many toys that have this kind of articulation on them, or this kind of level of detail. So it's a weird thing where I do appreciate the Andrea Beaumont body, but I'm really kind of torn with the extra 20. It's only extra $20 on top of this really expensive figure, but don't play scalper prices. Right now I'm seeing this thing going for like $400-500. It's not worth it. But if you're a fan of it, just get the Phantasm toy by itself. It's totally, the Phantasm figure is super dope, especially if you collect 12-inch figures. That's it for me, guys. I will catch you in the next vid.